Thank you for joining us today. Today we have Eric Mikovch, who wants to be our next Erie County Court of Common Pleas judge. Welcome, Eric.
Hi, Melanie. Thank you very much for having me today.
Eric, I guess I'm a pretty blunt person. Can you tell me why you want to be judge?
Absolutely. I'm running for judge for two reasons. I believe today we've lost something very basic, and that is common sense. I've raised my family using common sense. I believe that common sense has served me well in the 29 years that I've been a trial lawyer, and I've brought that to the courtroom, not only for my clients, but also for the other litigants that are in the case, and to practice in front of the judges. And I believe that if elected to be judge of Erie County, I will bring common sense to the courtroom. It's recognized that any judge would have to apply the law, but within the boundaries of the law, there's discretion to get the actual decision correct. And I think I possess that ability with common sense to serve the Erie people at the highest level. The second reason why I'm running for judge is I believe in our young people. I've been a high school football coach for a number of years, and I believe that working with the young people and having an impact, a positive impact upon their lives, can truly change their lives, be that as a coach, as a mentor, or anybody that has that positive impact. If I would be elected judge, the president judge of Erie County always has the responsibility and the discretion to place other judges in different areas of the law, and I would serve in whatever area I was asked to serve. But if the president judge would ask me what area do I believe I would serve at the highest level, I would ask to be in juvenile court. Because if I would have an opportunity to interact and deal with the juveniles that come through the juvenile justice system, put some parameters around them very significantly based upon what the case might be, maybe we could reach out and have an impact upon that young person's life. And if we can impact that young person's life, not only do we change that person's life around, but we protect our communities, because the goal is clearly for juveniles not to continue and commit adult crimes. And that would be my goal in wanting to serve juvenile court.
I love that. Common sense is definitely something that we could use breathed back into a lot of society anymore. So let's take it back a step. Why did you want to be an attorney when you were growing up? Was it always what you wanted to be, or what compelled you to go into law?
I think I absolutely wanted to be a policeman or a fireman. That was probably, without a doubt, the first memory and the first goal of what I wanted to be. Being an attorney, the draw was really to be interacting with people. You get to meet so many people, you have so many clients that you work with, you get to meet people inside the courtroom, and most importantly, you have the ability to solve their problems. When people come through the justice system, when they have legal problems, it quite oftentimes is some of the most significant times of their lives. Very emotional, very high stress level, but I've always had the ability to connect with people, to interact with them, and the ability for me to be able to speak, to interact, talk with people, solve their problems. That was the real draw as to why I wanted to be an attorney.
Got it. So I would assume that you'd spend a lot of time as Erie County's next judge inside a courtroom. Can you tell me why you enjoy being inside of a courtroom?
I suppose the original thought process of getting through the law school academics, I guess I didn't have an idea, honestly, of where I was going to land in the various areas of the law that a person can ultimately be an attorney for. But in the summer of 1992, I was fortunate enough to have an internship at the Quinn Law Firm. I've spent my entire career at the Quinn Law Firm. I'm still there as a senior partner today. 29 years as a practicing lawyer, but I was fortunate enough to have 2 years as a summer law clerk. And when I walked into the Quinn Law Firm, there was a senior partner by the name of John Garhart. Well, that John Garhart ultimately went on to be Judge Garhart and served on the Erie County bench for 14 years. And Judge Garhart is now retired. So the Honorable John Garhart, and based upon the relationships that we've had and what he's seen me do in court over my career, he agreed to be our campaign chairman for our actual run for Erie County Judge. So I was very pleased and happy to have John come on board, and I couldn't thank him enough for the mentorship that he gave me. But it was John that ultimately, through the relationships that we built over a couple of summers, he took me to the courtroom. And when we went to the courtroom for the very first time, that's exactly where I knew I wanted to spend my career, because that was what the calling was for me. That was my passion, and that's why I wanted to be an attorney, specifically a trial attorney.
Got it. Well, now that we got the direct questions out of the way, let's talk more about your personal life. Tell me a little bit about your family.
Myself, I'm born and raised in Erie County. I've spent my entire life here in Erie County other than a few years away for college and law school. I went to Northwestern High School out in Albion. I graduated from Northwestern in the class of 1987. While I was in high school, academics and being strong academically, pushed by my mother and father, I'm certain, was very important to me. Also, athletics was very important to me. I played football, basketball, and baseball, and all three sports in high school is kind of rare today. I don't think you see many three-sport athletes. The demands of individualized sports and some sports becoming year-round takes that away. But something that I'm very proud of, in addition to my academic career, was the fact that I did make all Erie County in all three sports in football, basketball, and baseball. Football was my strongest, and so when I graduated, I went on to Colgate University in Hamilton, New York, and I played football for Colgate for 4 years. I earned 3 varsity letters during my 4-year time frame playing for Colgate, and I graduated from Colgate with high honors, magna cum laude, being a 4-year athlete. And at that point in time, I was the class of 1991, and I went immediately on into law school, where I was at the University of Pittsburgh School of Law, and I was there from the fall of 1991 until graduation 3 years later in the spring of 1994. Following graduation and having the benefit of the 2 years of being a summer law clerk at the Quinn Law Firm, then I came back to Erie full-time. And I've been with the Quinn Law Firm full-time. I was an associate for 5 years, I was a junior partner for 2 years, and I've been a full senior partner at the Quinn Law Firm for over 20 years. I've had various roles in that capacity. I've also been involved with the managing partnership of the Quinn Law Firm, chairman of the marketing committee, chairman of the criminal practice department, and many other functions that I've served. But I've also served in the community in various capacities and areas. One of which I'm most proud of is in 2014, I was appointed to the Erie Western Pennsylvania Port Authority by Mayor Joe Sinnott at the time. And I joined the 11-member Maine board for a period of 6 years. I'm still on their advisory board to this day. And the amount of development and the positive attributes of what's going on in the Bayfront is extremely rewarding, not only as a board member, but as a community member. I love Erie County. I love the seasonal changes. I like being here. That's why I raised my family here.
Got it. And how many kids again?
We have 4 children. My wife, Becky, and I have been married for almost 18 years. And we have a son who's a senior at Northwestern. His name is Cole, a sophomore. Son, his name is Brody. We have an 8th grader, Mason. And then we have the mighty Tessa. We call her the mighty Tess. She's 12 years old in 7th grade, and she's probably tougher than her 3 brothers put together.
I love that. So I've seen the billboards, and they look fantastic. So tell me a little bit, it looked like you were wearing a football polo. Tell me a little bit about that.
I'm still coaching high school football to this day. I started coaching high school football, and it's clearly based upon my passion for the sport, what I personally enjoyed playing and all through college. But I started coaching football in 1993. I was fortunate then, Dave Merritt from Albion was the head coach, and he asked me to serve on his varsity coaching staff. I said, that's great, Coach Merritt, but I have to go back to Pittsburgh for law school. He said, that's not a problem. You'll have to drive up every single weekend, and we'll see you every Friday night on the field with us. And I did exactly that. So graduating a year later and moving back, I stayed with Coach Merritt through 1998. I then had the ability to transition and be an assistant coach under Tom Gage, who's the head coach at Northwestern, and that transitioned into Coach Jamie Sapala, who's actually a retired Pennsylvania State Trooper. I worked with Jamie up until about 2006 or 2007, and by that time my wife and I were married and we had a couple of children, and I had to step away from coaching full time. But as our family grew and they wanted to be involved in various activities and sports, I stepped back in as a volunteer coach for the Edinburgh YMCA. I had done various coaching at Little League and minor league baseball, and just participated with all of them. And the boys like to play football, and so I worked through the process of little gritters, middle school, and back up to the varsity level now for 4 or 5 years. In fact, I'll be on a football field tonight from 5 to 7 p.m., and we will travel to Eisenhower for an away game tomorrow night for Friday Night Lights.
Got it. Can't get away from that football field. That's awesome.
No, we're
That's
there
awesome.
full time.
So let's bring it back to the campaign. So tell me about your endorsements. Tell me about what you've heard on the campaign trail. But let's start with the endorsements.
I mentioned the Honorable John Garhart, retired, that John is fully in support of our campaign, and that's critical because his insight is seeing me inside the courtroom and having a number of cases that he's personally had the chance to witness me be the attorney for my clients. But endorsements that people need to know about, that they wouldn't necessarily make the obvious connection. And that is this. I have been in court over 4,700 times in my career. When I'm representing a client in court, oftentimes I am going against law enforcement and the police as the opposing party or the Commonwealth on the opposing side. I've been endorsed to be the next judge of Erie County by the Swanson Memorial Lodge of the Pennsylvania State Police Fraternal Order of Police. They've given me their unanimous endorsement. I've been endorsed by the Mill Creek Police Association, and I've also been endorsed by the Erie County Fraternal Order of Police. That's the Tyler Memorial Lodge, and people may know that as the memorial and the monument is directly across from Mayor Schember's office at City Hall, right in the middle of Perry Square. All three of those law enforcement agencies and memberships have endorsed me to be the next judge of Erie County. And I've never been a member of the district attorney's office, nor have I actually had the police on my side of a case when we've been actually going to court. So I respectfully submit, you ask any candidate, they're going to tell you that they will do a great job if they are elected. But when the other side of the table, the people from across the aisle, are the ones that make the recommendation that you should be the next judge of Erie County, and that's been your opposition for your entire career, I think that speaks volumes as to what they believe I will bring to the bench and the kind of judge and the quality of judge that I will be if elected by the people of Erie County.
Well, and I think it also goes back to that whole applying the common sense practice, if you will. If either side of the aisle, for lack of a better term, sees that, then it truly shows that you've exemplified that in your career.
I've prided myself in making sure that I treat the opposing side and everybody that's in the courtroom, whether it's the opposing side, opposing counsel, whether it's the tip staff, the sheriff's departments, the judge's staff. I've prided myself in being professional, treating everyone with dignity, and when you do that, even when you're on the other side, you earn the respect of the people that you work with.
Absolutely. Only a few more questions left, Eric. The best part about campaigning, and go.
By far, meeting the people. If you're not a candidate, you are typically not out in the public, nonstop, full throttle, 24 hours a day. As a candidate, it is incumbent to meet as many people as you possibly can. And in the travels that I have done to the various communities, whether that's to Northeast, to Harbor Creek, to Corry, to Union City, whether it's all of West County, whether it's Mill Creek, whether it's the city of Erie, I have tried to cover as much territory, as much ground as possible, and meet as many people as I possibly could. And I've enjoyed that the most. I've gotten great feedback from everyone. It's really been a fun experience, actually.
Love that. So we do only have about a minute left. So what would you like to say to the voters, Eric? I'm sure they've seen the billboards. I'm sure that they know how to pronounce your name, right? Mikovch. But what would you like to say to them?
I would just like to say to everyone that as a candidate for the Court of Common Pleas judge, I would like everyone to realize that it is the privilege to be able to serve Erie County and do it at the highest level possible and do it well. I believe that I have a passion for the courtroom that is unique and an energy that I will bring to the courtroom different from anybody else. And by far, if someone was to ask me, are you a glass half empty or are you a glass half full? I am beyond a glass half full because that's the energy of why I wanted to be an attorney. That's why I want to be in the courtroom. I want to bring common sense to the courtroom. I would love the opportunity to work with the juveniles. And if given the chance by the people of Erie County, I will assure them that I will serve them very well, make sure that everyone is heard, make sure that it is so important that every case has its own attention and individualized attention, because the law cannot be a situation where the volume of cases gets to the point of making sure that there's some type of a cookie cutter answer to what's going on. What we need is a judge who is going to make sure the parties in front of them give them the attention and the time and the respect that they deserve. And that's what I'm going to do for Erie County if I'm elected to the Erie County Court of Common Pleas.
One last thing, Eric. So obviously the election is November 7th. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you or learn more about you, where would they go?
I would point them to go to our Facebook page. It's Eric Mikovch for Judge, and that has a lot of the content of what we've been doing for the entire campaign. I believe we brought our Facebook page up live in January. We have over 1,000 members or followers that like it right now. We'd love to have more, and I'd point you to the Eric Mikovch for Judge Facebook page. You'll see a lot of the information right there.
Excellent. Eric, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mel.